I want to say shout out to I want to do a big Cartier Bob shout out to my older brother. I'm calling him Big Cartier, Johnny Gill. For that information, I applaud and implore him from being and dropping that knowledge. But also, we want to get into something that I also saw that I think that's going on that kind of like went on with the conversation is a lot of the strikes now
Yeah.
in Portland. I've seen a lot of the teacher. Or do you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the teacher strike, for most people who have no PPS, is going through a teacher strike right now, which has been a buildup for the last like 5 years. They get paid like $100 a day as a teacher, which is the bottom of the barrel between like most districts. And Portland Public is one of the biggest districts in the state of Oregon and have the most schools in the state of Oregon. So the funding shouldn't be so little. But so they've been on a strike now for 4 days, 4 day strike. They've now asked the state representative to be a mediator.
You sure?
It's only been like 4 days. It started Monday.
Okay.
So I made me lose out. So the state representative is supposed to mediate now because it hasn't changed anything. So yeah, and it's so the biggest factor. I see the biggest positive thing for me that I see out of this is a lot of local restaurants have been opening their doors to students, who like getting like 50% off on meals, and teachers giving them discounts so that a lot of the students can eat, because people don't understand the impact of not having school. Sometimes a student can't eat because they might not eat at home.
Yeah.
So a lot of local support has been heavy lately, with the teacher strike going on. But there's also been complaints about losing business. So that's also why they're doing it, I think, too, as well. Because there was like a food truck over by Ida B. Wells, and they were complaining about how they've lost 85% of their business with the students that would come down, and there's no students, no teachers, so they don't get as much business anymore. Yeah, there's supposed to be a huge agreement hopefully soon. I think ultimately this impacts our low income families because those stay at home mom, there's no really stay at home moms anymore, and a lot of kids, just going back to COVID, they're not going to do computer work anymore. They're done with that. So we're setting kids back, and I know at the end they talked about how however many days it goes, they'll extend the school year for it. So
Okay.
That's good.
it's going to
The reason why I kind of wanted, because reason why I wanted to bring it up, because we're all products of Portland Public Schools, and we know how bloody hell it was. And
I wasn't a product of Portland Public School, but
Where'd you go?
Milwaukee.
Nah, it
It's
was
not Portland Public.
Hey,
No,
Milwaukee? North Clackamas.
yeah.
And well,
Yeah,
technically, I'm Beaverton School District. That's still Portland Public.
Thank you. But
Beaverton
so
School District
It's a sect of Portland Public.
not.
I think it is.
No, it's not. Beaverton School District is its own district.
Well, at
Portland
Moda
Public
Center?
School District.
Well,
is
at
its own
the-
district.
At the Moda Center has Portland Public School and Sunset's jerseys with Portland Public School.
we'll take your districts.
North Clackamas.
We know what goes on in Beaverton with the whites. Anyhow,
Jesus
y'all-
Christ.
y'all have the
Go ahead.
textbooks we needed.
I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything.
I know you immigrant. Okay, I see you with the struggle. I don't know.
Like a 50-year-old school that was falling apart.
So, anywho, the reason why I'm bringing this up is like I'm an early riser. I like to do my gym workouts, and that's how I connect with myself physically. And I would say starting last week, and hopefully, editor, me, hopefully these videos are right here. I took some videos of the strike of teachers outside. So like I'm like seeing it face to face, and like I'm glad to kind of see that energy as I think as a product of Portland Public Schools. Of being a member of that, I'm glad. Where like I went through a lot of like subs,
The worst
of the worst,
Oh.
and I've always been like super puzzled. Like we say all these things, but like once again, we don't invest in what we say.
The money's up top. and they don't want to give it.
Yeah.
Guadalupe makes so much money. He's the superintendent. He makes so much money. I mean, principals at each school make easy 150,000 a year. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes there's
Crazy.
4 vice principals at a school. Like when I was at McDaniel, there was 4 vice principals, and they were each making over 120,000 a year. So it's like
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't
oh.
need all that money towards admin, and you need more money towards services that are actually affecting these kids, that it can actually help these kids. More money towards food services, because the food service sucks.
Thanks.
And but they don't get a lot of funding. Like
Yeah.
they don't get a lot of funding that makes kids want to actually eat their food. So it's like, well, their payoff is like, well, we don't have kids that want to eat the food, so we're not gonna put money into it. And it's like, if you put money into it, you'll probably have more kids that's gonna want to eat the food.
1010%.
So
What are you about to say, Cost?
Oh, I was also just gonna say that Oregon as a state ranks in like the bottom half of the country in terms of graduation rates, and it's kind of just a product of the fact that we're not paying teachers what they deserve, and schools are failing here.
I mean, when you Vancouver School District they just protested again this year, to advocate for more money for teachers again. After I think 2 years ago they protested and won and got more services, got more funding towards Vancouver School District and they already get paid exceptionally way more than Portland Public Schools. So it's like,
Vancouver stinks.
hey,
Hey, that Vancouver waterfront kind of yakking. Hey, that's
gotten
that's
better.
a plug. That's a plug, y'all.
Bunch of tax evaders
Um,
over there.
Fact Dragon.
So just quickly, costs. Beaverton Public School District does not go into Portland Public School District. They are two separate
We
entities.
all
That is
knew
it.
that. I at least wanted to say this one piece, and then I'm gonna once again get less handsome and more old. Hey, I'm up next. Anywho, I'll just say this. It's just really good to see people really, because I think Johnny mentioned this when he was talking about oppressed people really like seeing their worth, and just kind of like and like people will be like, nah, we can sit through this in solidarity, because like I just look at all the hard work of like one being a student in Portland Public, and then actually doing the work that I do and going into Portland Public, and just seeing the carelessness, and just like seeing people put their blood, sweat, and tears. And it's kind of like, we talk about like livable wages and things of that matter. Like if you go to school to be a teacher to educate the youth, like that should be something that's protected. And it's just sad because I've seen so many teachers, great teachers, who are just like, all right, and then they're doing teaching, and guess what? They're on YouTube. They're like, I should have quit this years ago.
Yeah.
And you can really see in their passion that you're an educator. It's just so sad that we push you out for bullshit. So, were you about to say something before I go?
Well, I just back when I was in Germany last year, something that shocked me is teachers get paid much better in Europe.
Yeah.
And we're talking on average something 80, 90, 100,000 euros, which in Europe is much better because of taxes and all this. But yeah, like in other countries, they prioritize teaching, and that's why Germany has so many engineers and so many like higher education professions that then they export around Europe.
So I have something really quick. So like there's just like YouTuber I follow now, and like it's like really like funny where like he goes around and like has people like answer like questions, not like tricking or like trapping, and like asking like people like lots of questions. And you know the funny thing about it is when he like asks like international people, and they're like verse and like going against like state USA people, like he's like, what's the square root of like a fourth? And like they're like it, or like all these things them. Like it's just interesting. Like no against nothing against my American folks, but it's like when you said that shit, I was like, I know what the fuck you're talking. I see that, but I think
harder there too.
Oh, I can figure.
That's why less people go to college there.
Well, one of the things I just want to add to the conversation is I want to bring someone who's also been striking and knows not man, I don't want to assume maybe he's also striking for the teachers as well, but a person who kind of knows that, and he's We've already done it. He's gonna be on here for 3 minutes and then he's gonna get off. So please,
Back again, baby.
so please add your perspective of what you've been talking and how the strike's been going.
Poof.
Poof, I'm back. What's up? What's up?
Yeah.
So, perspective what on strikes?
Yes.
Just
Um,
on
Go ahead.
the PPS strike or it's just
Or-
strikes in general. And
You're
One of the first things I
yeah.
always say is I don't know. This is one thing I wish we had more of in our country and on podcasts around the thing. Everybody's on hot take point. I do not know what the teachers here in Portland are striking for. Repeat that. I do not know. We need more people saying I don't know instead of forming takes off of uninformed opinion. That said, I'm in solidarity with striking labor all over the country, all over the world. I said that when I first came over here. You were talking about funding. I have a question. Where do you think the money is going?
for me,
No. I mean, not for you. I mean, where do you think the money is going?
yeah, like the question you're asking
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
To be honest, I think it really goes to admin and because I can't even say sports. I
You
feel
wouldn't
like,
say athletics? I think
I'll
it's
tell you,
I think
y'all
a
missing
fat
big piece. I can tell you, it's easy. Going to the police. Nobody
from
wants-
schools.
Yeah. Who do you think funds education? You're talking about the public education system, yeah?
Mhm.
So who funds public education?
we
The
do.
municipal budget, taxpayers.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
where does the vast majority of tax dollars go?
yeah. Funding or police. Yeah,
To the police.
yeah.
And I looked it up on my phone before I came on here. So I've done this in Ubers and Lyfts. I've done it all over, and nobody ever believes. 30 to 40%, sometimes even 50% of every city's municipal budget goes towards the police.
Interesting. But it's crazy because they just cut SROs.
Yeah, and then they just increased it. I just looked it up. Because they did that all across the country. It's called a game that they play. And they get folks with it every 6 months. They put shoplifters on the news, right? And then they talk about property crime. And guess what? Violent crime is going down in Los Angeles. Property crime going up, you know why? Because guess what? Folks don't have their needs met. Folks don't have education. They don't have schools to be able to go to. So in this country, we're going to have very serious, adult, non-childish, non-propagandized conversations about where we're going to go. You talked about Europe, right? In certain parts of Europe, police don't even got guns,
Yeah.
right? Because they have, whilst not perfect, they have more serious adult conversations about how their government and their citizens interact with each other. We do not have that here.
That's true. They also extremely hard to buy a gun as a civilian in Europe.
Yeah, as it should be, because it's a killing machine.
Yeah.
And again, adult conversations. So again, I remember when they shot at that school in Uvalde. I got a song coming out next year called Green Shoe Music, right? Uvalde, Texas, one of the poorest cities in the country. 45% of their budget went towards the police, and I hate to break it to folks, man. I'm sorry. Like, look up what the people say. They don't solve crime. They don't prevent crime. I'm sorry, man. Look at the shooter that just took place in Maine,
Yo,
right?
he on the loose
Huh,
still.
No.
Still on the loose?
No, he's dead.
Oh,
He
did.
killed himself.
Oh,
So
okay.
guess what? Did they stop him from shooting those people?
Oh.
There was a nice cosplay they did with a bunch of big guns and stuff. They walked around, made it look official and all that kind of stuff. Did they catch him? He killed himself. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, when we talk about our budgets, when we talk about education, when we talk about why the reason teachers are on strike, there is a massive amount of greed from very big corporate interests. And whether that's the police, whether that's the NRA, whether that's a monopoly on studios for actors and writers and all the other kind of stuff, whether that's car makers, automakers, there's a reason why all this is happening. This is the same stuff people was talking about during Occupy Wall Street. It's the same stuff they was talking about in the 1920s during the Great Depression, when they was letting fruit die on the on vines and trees and was surrounding farms by gunpoint so people couldn't eat. That's wild. That's crazy. Some of that same stuff, crazy stuff is happening right now. So if we're gonna talk about public budgets and where our funds are going to, didn't I just say $100 billion? They're trying to give $100 billion, right?
Jesus.
And remember that whole thing? They defunded the police. Not a single solitary police department in the country was defunded. It's called a game they play. And then we wonder why we can't get education funded, climate change funded, homelessness. You can't do both,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And like I said, because I always make sure I look up what I say. 200, the approved 2022-2023 budget climbed to $249 million, an increase of just over $12 million in 2002. And y'all municipal budget is $7 billion.
Mhm.
In LA, the police get like $3 billion. So like I said, man, when you come on, when you talk about this stuff matters because I want my kids, I want my kids to see hanging gardens downtown, right? I want people to be able to live well and not have to be scraping and clawing. Like, you know what's sad, man? And I don't know if they got this here in Portland, but in LA, you go into the grocery stores and they got the soap and the shampoo locked up behind. If you really think about that, that's poetry in motion. They're trying to tell you something. What do people want? Soap, shampoo, toothpaste, medicine. You know what I'm saying?
Essentials.
Yeah, essentials.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And real quick point, just because we're talking about essentials. I was hanging out with some people that do drugs all the time. And this is going to make sense in a second, I promise. But they were talking about, because again, we have a value system, and they were talking, because, you know, these people got, you know, I call the black people the black bourgeois. It's a lot of bourgeois folks got a little bit, and so they want to protect their little bit. And so they talking about the homeless people, and they like, you know, they just do so many drugs, and because if you give them this, they're gonna spend it on drugs. And I was like, I was looking around, I'm like, you mean like y'all?
Yeah.
There's everything in here. They completely missed that connection because somehow we've convinced ourselves that economically, all of a sudden, everybody different. They self-medicating and you self-medicating.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what we have to do to wrap it up, because I see the finger.
That's what we talked about. Go ahead.
To wrap it up, there is a question about values at work.
Yep.
And I think there's a financial advisor. Some of the financial people be saying you can tell people's values when you look at how they spend their money. What do they spend it on? Right? If you go down and look in somebody's refrigerator, is they spending it on broccoli and all that, or is they spending it on, you know, BS, beer or whatever else? Why can't we should use that same metric for our governments? So apparently the only thing we value in this country is not, we don't value health, we don't value wellness, we don't value education, we don't value truth. We value war, militarizing, and beating and harassing and exploiting folks. Because that's what's happening. That's why folks is on strike. That's why $100 billion for this, but we ain't got nothing for that. That's why the vast majority, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's power.
Yeah.
It's the foundation in what built this country. That's why we come back to it. It's the simplest thing we know.
But it's not sustainable. And that's
It's
what I
not.
mean. So it's a weak power.
Yeah, but it's what we know. That's how this country was built.
No, because most people, there's certain people that think that way. There's a
Yeah.
reason why the civil rights movement happened and the labor movements, all stuff. The vast majority of folks, it's a reason why.
And
you know
that's
what
why
I mean?
things are changing, because everyone doesn't think like that no more.
And like I said, hopefully, but it's not gonna get there unless on podcasts like this. Like if I go on, like one of my biggest dreams, I can't wait to go on. What's LeBron's joint?
Barbershop, the barbershop, or
The shop.
The
'Cause
shop.
The first question I'm gonna ask, and I love LeBron. He's my favorite player. But speaking truth to power means sometimes you got to talk to people you admire.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna say, why when I watch this show, it's all these black and brown and women and folk on here, and everybody millionaires.
Yeah.
The barbershop's supposed to be for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to speak truth to power everywhere at all times.
Yeah.
And when you get on these kind of mediums, you have to be informed. You have to know that you know, and you have to be open and honest and about what's going on. And so we're gonna have to take some of this money from the police, man, so that we can do some of the things y'all talking about.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Johnny Ray, thank you, sir.
Appreciate you, man. How you say my name, man? People be thinking I be saying my whole name when I meet them. I be like, hey, I'm Johnny Ray. And they be like, hi, I'm Alex Crawford. And I'll be like, oh, well, that's my first name. And they're like, oh, I thought I was my people from the South. You know what I mean? So Johnny Ray through and through. But you know, good to be on. Shout out to my brother Rob doing really great stuff out here. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful. I see you guys on the internet a lot of times.
Appreciate
so
it.
it's great to actually be on the couch
Who's your favorite character?
My favorite character on what?
Yeah, on the show.
Probably him because he make all the sound effects. Like,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
oh wait,
Not in the